Greetings and salutations. It is I, Johnnî, on this Talk to Me Tuesday episode of Who the Heaven Is I, May 21st, 2K24. How you all doing? Well, I will say I got a good night's sleep last night. I didn't go to bed. I'm yawning, I say that, but no, I got a really good night's sleep. In fact, I went to bed kind of earlier than normal, like 10 o'clock. And because of that, I woke up first at 2:31 in the a.m. and I debated staying up, but my body was kind of still tired, so I went back to bed. But it is now 4:35 in the a.m. and it's a good time to attack the day, because what will happen is if I don't attack the day will attack me. And I found that, especially when I'm not up working late, if I get up early, getting stuff done from the jump is good. So when I get done with this, I will work out for a little bit, because energy needs to kind of get going and flow in my body. I'll do my meditation. I'll plan out my day. In fact, I'll plan out my day with you all today. That could be fun. But today's episode on this Talk to Me Tuesday is focused on my big project. I think the time has come to really put it out into the universe, because, quite frankly, I could use some help. It's a project called Future 86 that I have been working on most seriously for the past 4 years. But the project really started back in 1999. That was when the first song was written for the soundtrack. The song "The End Is Always the Beginning," and it's kind of snowballed, and well, it didn't really snowball, to be honest with you. It was trickling for years. Then around 2004, 2005, I wrote the majority of the songs for the soundtrack. But as far as filming, that really kicked in 2020, as I had left my place of business at the Apple Store, because the movie became a conflict of interest, and channeled my energies on that. But then COVID happened, obviously, which was kind of good and bad. It was bad because my whole business model for my business kind of fell apart when you can't get face to face with people for a couple months. It was challenging. Those are the people that really needed my support, were people that needed face to face consultations, not over a Zoom or virtual stuff. But then, I was able to get all these business grants, and able to, liquidate my 401k to put money into the movie. And that was great, But now it's the point where I've got all this footage I've shot, and I need to edit and then get some transitional interviews. So let me tell you about the project, and then we'll go from there. How does that sound? All right. So, in whole, the Future 86 project is a project that talks about the evolution of society, and basically, at the the forefront of it is technology and its impact on society as we evolve. With different introductions of technology, whether it be AI, VR, and all the different devices that are being created, how it affects society. And at the crux of it is, do we live in a disposable society? That's how the project started. But then, somewhere in the mid 2010s, started realizing it wasn't just about technology. It was about life in general. Is life disposable? Because I looked at relationships, and how now it's kind of a cancel culture, and You know, take marriages for example. Most marriages actually end up in divorce nowadays. So it's not exactly. To me, that's disposable relationship. Like if it doesn't work out, bye bye, see you later. People don't try to work things out. It's easier just to throw things away. Then I looked at our healthcare system, and it's kind of like pills, 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 medicine, medicine, medicine. In my own experience, I don't see a lot of holistic and natural remedies being integrated when you go to the doctors, the hospitals. And you take cars, refrigerators, not built the same way they were back in the 50s and 60s because, quite frankly, everyone's looking for profit. But the reality is, in a society, if everyone's building everything disposable, the amount of waste builds up much quicker, and B, people, this is why inflation and all this stuff is happening. People just can't keep on affording the different things. And the people that, when I say that, like a mailbox back in the 1950s, unless some kid came around with a baseball bat driving around for some joyrides, the mailbox still stands. And that is a form of communication. Our phones are a form of communication, but need to be upgraded every 3 to 5 years. And then you have the companies supplying those parts. So everything is stacked on, and everyone's just trying to make money, money, money. But the problem with that, why it's not sustainable, is because people won't be able to afford the necessary things like food. The cost of food has gone up exponentially over the past 5 years, and stuff that you would think would be like inexpensive is now expensive. Like so, the fact of the matter is, I don't want to lose y'all. The movie, it talks on all these different points, the nature, evolution of, buildings, and what happens to the wildlife. But it does it in a manner where it's kind of fun because I made music for the movie before the movie was even firmed out. And so the soundtrack was actually made before the movie. It was kind of like my blueprint for the movie. And the soundtrack talks about a lot of different things. It talks about like senior citizens, great example, and family life. Used to be the extended family where grandparents hung around. Then it became the nuclear family. Now I believe we are in the time of the digital family where Netflix and YouTube and Google, that's how kids are, teaching themselves stuff because the grandparents aren't around the house to kind of teach kids stuff, and the parents aren't even around a lot of times because they're working so much. And my belief, whether you believe in God, the universe, nature, the Matrix, whatever, like technology is supposed to be a tool to help us, not for us to profitize. And it's not being utilized that way. It's being utilized primarily as an income source. And the technology that is built, it's not rock solid. And it's like building sandcastles. It looks really cool. Hey, buy the sandcastle. And you buy it, and all of a sudden the wave comes and crashes it. Oh, well, this one's even bigger and better. And we never stop and get a chance to smell the roses. And now we're not going to be able to because the roses will all be gone. It's going to be digital roses. And I enjoy the reality. And so if we don't have balance between technology and nature, that's kind of the real crux of the movie. And by nature, I mean humans and technology. So the movie is broken down a couple different ways. There's going to be a documentary and the soundtrack, and it's a traveling show. So every city I go into, it will be probably about a week out there. That's what I'm shooting for, is about a week where I interview people from the town on the different talking points of, technology, relationships, family, health, nature, education, all these different topics. And then the music is then broken down by different musicians and interpreted. And at that point, they're going to put their own spin on it. So when we put the movie out live, it's the core movie is always going to be the same, but then I have different interviews with people from that local community cut in there. Then the music is played by, while the movie's going on, is played by musicians from that area. And then the next level of it, it's not just like sitting down watching a movie or listening to stuff. There's going to be blacklight art where people can paint different things, T-shirts and rocks and wooden blocks and canvas, and just to get creative. And then the ultimate goal is to raise money to start a democratic technology company that's built to last, where the features are age friendly, because I find a lot of this technology being built doesn't take into consideration the population. It's just core users. But I worked firsthand for Apple for 11 years, and I saw senior citizens not wanting new tech, but being forced to evolve at a rate where they were becoming extinct. And when we break the bridges between generations, and there's a huge gap between the youngins and the seniors now. Now maybe this bridge has always been there, but and the gaps have always been there, but there was the gaps have always been there, but there were bridges. Now the learning curve with some of the stuff is so advanced that even like I'm 50, right? Even people my age are challenged with learning stuff that's new technology that isn't. It's not necessarily that it's difficult or hard. The problem is that it's not perfected, and there's bugs. And I screenshot and record a lot of this stuff because I have clients that I do tech consulting on, and straight up, they're like, "Oh my gosh, I'm so stupid." I'm like, "You're not stupid. This does not work. There's an error with it, and it's not right. They're paying for this stuff, and then the support from these companies isn't there. So it's like they're taking our money, but they're not giving us what they're offering. So that's a challenge into itself. So that's the first element of the Future 86 project. But then, in addition, there's also like a fantasy, like sci-fi, a sci-fi comedy fantasy movie. Think of it as like Princess Bride meets well, no, actually, the movie itself is actually, I'm not going to try to match it up differently. It's Star Wars meets Dazed and Confused. And I call it Star Piece. And so that will be the feature that, I'll be shooting. And the way I want to shoot it is all like George Lucas style back in the old days, where it's like more hands-on green screen type stuff, of like models and using recycled materials and repurposed materials and all that kind of stuff, as opposed to going in and really doing all that CGI stuff. I mean, there'll be some. I mean, I'm not opposed to AI and CGI. I'm opposed to an overuse of it and working these budgets for films that are astronomical. I mean, that's another thing. Like Hollywood, to me, like part of my project is reinventing Hollywood in the way we produce movies, because the way movies are produced now, they make a movie, they put it out there, and next thing you know, it's like, if it flops, they spent 30 million on 100 million on it, and where does that money come from? It's got to come from somewhere, right? But if you shoot the trailer first, the preview, and then you get people to buy into it, then you find out who really wants to see the movie. And I think that into itself is a more fiscally sound way to produce movies. And this is why I'm kind of talking about this stuff today because I am going to raise some funds. I know that myself, it's not sustainable for me to continue making my film and my music project, my art technology project, without proper funding. And I've been running my consulting business as my Bruce Wayne during the day. But that limits me from really focusing on the last leg of this tour because there are three more places I would like to film. One of those is in Alaska. One of those is in Japan. And one of those is in Bolivia. If I get Greece in there too, like I'd like to go to Athens, that would be great too. But ultimately, right now, this is where I'm starting. And so I gotta make a pitch to the universe, to all you folks out there. And I'm not even asking for a lot. Like Netflix is $10+ a month, right? Depending on the plan you get. And so my philosophy is, if I can get people to donate $1 a month, but annually it would be, $10 a year, and get, a bunch of people to contribute to that from a consumer level, that would be great. Then I would also get sponsors, people that wanted to, get their name, out there. That would be $10 a month, or say $100 a year. And then there's, higher levels of sponsorships too from a corporate level, because like I said, I'll be taking the show on the road. And I think it's a sustainable thing. I think what I'm asking is minimal, and the reach. Everyone I tell this idea to, they're like, oh my gosh, let me, like yesterday, I'm at the laundromat doing laundry, and I met Justine, and she's like, please tell me when this comes out, and I got to pull the trigger. So it's, the movie project is only part of this whole entertainment realm I'm doing of Conscious One Entertainment. It would be the first film, and this film, it's kind of funny, right? So during the pandemic, I bought a lot of digital real estate. I bought domains. I thought about different opportunities of things that no longer existed or things that need to be quote unquote invented. And the culture of music, to me, it's dying. It's not dying in the fact that music isn't out there. Like, there's definitely all these services, but it's hard to share stuff across all the platforms. Like, if you don't have Spotify, or if you have Apple Music, like, my playlist won't come through. It's like, why can't we get on the same page, people? Like, the same way Sony, Panasonic, JVC, they all made CD players and tape cassette players, but they all played the same tape cassettes. And that is our biggest challenge right now, is wrangling all of that stuff. It is getting the music to be easily accessible on all platforms. So the artists, are getting paid properly, but B, so that the users, the listeners, can connect with people and share and really, the culture of music back in the 80s and 90s, where you could get a CD and sit down and listen with someone and or make a mixtape and give them a copy, and they can kind of hear stuff, it was a better culture. You can go shopping in the record store. I think I talked about this on other episodes, where I would go shopping in a record store and you make friends and you learn about different music just from a connection. So that's something I saw as an opportunity. And I believe I said it on my episode yesterday about concert T-shirts. I remember going, besides Paper Tiger, that was the shop down in Jersey, but close to me, there was Rock Fantasy. And I'd go to Rock Fantasy and buy T-shirts. And I'd also get a chance to go to see concerts in the area. And now, like, it's just everything from a musical standpoint seems more challenging. And I think there's an easier way to do things. So this Friday, I'm launching a thing called MTeeV. What? Yes, music, T-shirts, and videos. And the idea, it will allow me to raise money for my film, where I'll be selling Future 86 shirts and, pre-selling movie and CD tickets. I'm going to put a whole package together, don't worry. But this will be my first quote-unquote MTeeV film, the Future 86, and I'll launch it in the town that I'm currently connected in, and I'll see where it goes. I believe from people I talk to, they need this. They like the concert shirts and the music T-shirts idea. They like being able to buy physical media, music, and connect with people. But the movie, people love the movie, but it's got to get out. And so I need to edit. In order to do that, I need to raise capital and focus. So that is my goal. So I will put links in this package here today for the podcast. And I know this one, went a little bit down a different path I'd normally go to, but this is who Johnnî is, and that's why I started this podcast, so you could all know what I'm working on and what I'm doing. Because, to be honest with you, I'm not doing this just for me. Like, there's an element of the movie that talks about, mental health, because of living in a disposable society. We sometimes don't treat people nicely. And I think I've lost too many friends, and my friends have lost too many family members due to either substance abuse or mental health issues. Like the group in this community called Warwick Cares, most of those people in that group have lost someone to suicide. And that's crazy, because I find that a lot of that stuff is people just not connecting with people and not respecting people, because we're all in our silos. And if we keep on living in silos, it's only going to get worse. And if I can do something to help someone that's going through stuff, then I'm going to be there to do that. And I think this movie will show people a different way to connect with humans and be more humane, which is ultimately, I think, what we're on this planet to do. It's all point of view. Like, people get stuck in their daily grind chasing the money, but there's human beings around us, and let's slow down and enjoy this life. And that's kind of the crux of the movie. We all saw WALL-E. If you didn't, go check it out. Got a robot looking for a piece of plant and another robot that's just trying to fix things. And that's kind of, I feel like I'm WALL-E sometimes. Just trying to fix things, be a happy dude, watch those little dancing videos. So, that being said, question of the day. Let's see. Question of the day based upon Future 86. What do you think is the meaning of life? That's kind of a loaded one. Yeah, what do you think is the meaning of life? And do you feel that we live in a disposable society? That's the poll of the day. Question today is, what is life? And poll of the day is, do you think we live in a disposable society? That being said, you can always check that out on Spotify.com or on the iOS or iPad OS or Android OS versions of the Spotify. And you can always call the Cool Line, 650-383-7469, to get more information on how you can be part of this poll question of the day or part of Future 86. Because your support is definitely needed at this point, because I got my Millennium Falcon that's kind of been hanging out here in Mos Eisley, and I got to jumpstart this thing. So thank you for your listenership, and I will, well, you know what? If you're enjoying this podcast, please share it out with friends, family, frenemies, because quite frankly, I think the more listeners that hear this, then maybe they vibe with it, and then they can support me. I can support them, kind of like, I like to support my friends when they're ever doing their stuff. And if you're my friend, then hey, support me if you want. If you don't want to, then hey, you probably wouldn't be here listening. So thanks a lot. Have a great day and a pleasant tomorrow.